Hey everyone, you already know it's your host, Aisha Lewis Redway, and I am here with another amazing Indie Talks. And I have no other than the sensational JaXon Gállery with us today. What's
So
going
what's up? What's
on?
up? Thanks for having me. Thanks. As amazing intro. Ama-
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. But of course, I'm super excited for this interview because you your team reached out to us and I was like, okay, I'm reviewing the music, I'm listening to it. And, I wasn't familiar, but then I got to study and
Yeah, yeah.
research and really hone in on your artistry. And I have to say, how amazing. And I can't wait to hear your story because I read it, I saw some things briefly, but to hear it from the source
Right.
himself.
Thank
Okay.
you. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Let's get into this because first of all, you are from a small town in Georgia.
Yes.
And it's you said it's very rare.
2,000 people.
It's 2000. And I was just
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I had to look that up. And I was like, is it
Yeah.
really 2000 population?
2,000.
I want
It
you to talk about coming from such a small town in such a place because Atlanta is literally right next door,
right. Right.
right? How did that shape your early years in being able to um understand what music is and how that became a part of your DNA?
Yeah. Well, coming from Hogansville, it's a place of love, family, craziness as well. Just in my family alone, I think there's a lot of athleticism. So there was always sports being played around the house, but music was something that I always had a love and passion for. I don't know, well, I do know where it came from. My grandfather, um, Louis Tigner, and my grandmother, Betty Tigner. Man, every Sunday, I remember the weekends. Every Sunday, I would wake up to breakfast, and I would hear one of the two humming, if not both. And I think from there, the music bug bit me because it's like, what's this humming? Like I never heard them say words. It was only like these hums, and I always thought it was beautiful. I always was drawn to the sound and how it made me feel. It made me feel like at home, and I think from there, I had family that introduced me to music. My cousin Eddie Robinson played piano. He was in music. Have a couple aunts and uncles that sing. So music has always been around me, but sports was like the main thing. And I just remember waking up one day and I was like, I feel like music is what I'm supposed to be doing for like the rest of my life. And I remember telling my mom one day, like, one day I'm gonna travel the world, doing music. And she smiled, like, of course, that's what all kids say. But I genuinely believe that. And I knew that somewhere in my soul, like, I enjoy sports, but I felt like everything that I did growing up prepared me for music. I think me getting my first girlfriend because I sang to her, it's music. Me getting my first heartbreak at maybe sixth grade. Niece
Awesome.
Bangs, I'll never forget this name. She ended up having to move to Chicago,
Aw.
and I remember that first heartbreak. And I just think there are so many other things that allow me to learn how to express myself, which I think um, coached me into music and learning how to songwrite.
Now we definitely gonna get into the craft of your
Hmm.
songwriting because that's the one thing about me when I'm listening to music. I really I pay attention
Yeah.
into different sectors, the writing, the production,
Hmm.
and just kind of listening to like the overlays and things of that nature. So we'll get into that.
Right.
Now, you being younger, do you is that your pivotal moment where you just realize like, I knew music was going to be my life? Because like you said before, you made a point. You was just like, sports
Hmm.
has been a background in your family and been a
Right.
background for you, um, in the sense of, you know, how did you know which one was just really, really was your true calling?
I think personally, it was people always knew me as the super athletic kid, but people also said, "Who? That's the dude that's always singing in practice." And I became that child, and that was when it for me it started to make sense to where I'm doing something that I feel that I'm super passionate about. But there's just one thing that I do every day by myself that I'm still openly expressing while playing sports, which not to say it wasn't normal, but most times that practice is very serious. It's
Yeah.
locked in. So singing really wasn't this thing to do, but I always found myself doing it, and people always remembered me from that. And I think for me, that was the moment when I was like, "Yo, I really do love this thing called music." I didn't know what it was. I didn't know um, anybody outside of my cousin Eddie and his brother Marquez, who actually wrote TLC Waterfall, and just a little backstory from on Hogansville. So clearly, music has always been something in my hometown that people have done. Like going to church on Sundays, you always hear
Right.
some of the most beautifulest voices and instrumentation. So I always got my healthy dose of music on Sunday, and my cousin Eddie Robinson, who actually I feel that really gave me that nudge to get into music. Him and Sarah Jenkins, but Eddie for sure because I remember he, gave me my first lead in church, and I remember being so nervous, even just practicing the songs in choir rehearsal, like just being like my heart feeling like it's about to burst through my chest. And he would always look at me
Wow.
and say, "B, you can sing. What are you nervous about?" And I'm like, I don't know because at that time it was something new, and having somebody who I know sings well tell me that I could sing, it was like the confidence thing. And then there's Hogansville again. Like Hogansville is a place where you're definitely getting your healthy doses of confidence, a solid foundation of knowing who you are, where you're from, and holding pride in that thing. And yeah, I feel like Hogansville equipped me for the world essentially. I didn't know it at the time, but all the things that I learned throughout my childhood and teenage years, it's like it equipped me for the meetings with the Trickies and the LA Reids and the Dreams and the JQs and the Charlie Wilsons and the Chris Browns and the Justin Biebers and the Erica Badu's and the Nas. So, again, coming from where I'm from, had I not had such a strong, solid foundation, had I not been from Hogansville, I don't
Right.
think it would have. I think it would have been different. I really do.
So let's kind of tap in a little bit because and I love the story and I love that the fact that you were able to build from a
Hmm.
such a small place and be able
Yeah.
to grow. You know, it's like the big fish in a small pond, right?
Right. Right.
And be
Yeah.
able to come and be able to elevate from that. Let's talk about your rebrand. Now, you
Right.
weren't always known as JaXon Gallery.
I was not.
So let's you called yourself B a couple of times. So what I want you to describe is that difference in being Bryan J and then
Uh-huh.
JaXon Gallery
Right.
today.
Yeah. I honestly think the biggest difference between Jackson Gallery and Bryan J. Bryan J was unsure. Bryan J was afraid to say what he wanted to say. Bryan J was afraid to tell people the type of music he wanted to do. Um, but Bryan J also was a light in every room he went into. A spokesperson for honesty in records, even if it was something I wasn't sure of doing. I still kind of spoke my piece, but it was in a very like, but I don't want to ruffle any feathers type of way. But Jackson Gallery, uh, I don't care. Like I understand now
It's like,
that
look, I figured this out over here.
listen because I understand now. It's like nobody has the answers but me. The
Mhm.
person that I was always looking for when I first started music was me. The songwriter that I was always hoping that I would bump into was me. The A&R mindset of putting songs together for a beautiful project, I figured was in somebody else, was always in me. But I think in this industry, people aren't always championing you as a individual to be able to solely depend on yourself for your vision. I think the more control people have over your vision, the less power and magic you could put into your music, because you're now having people create a concept of who you are and not knowing who you are. So they're creating this character for you that you have to put the shoes and the cape on for. But it's like, as JaXon Gállery is me now, it's like, I, the cape is there. Nobody
Right.
created that. It's me, right? The shoes I picked, the colors I picked, everything about that is me,
Yep.
and that's something that I can live with now. Like, I think the Bryan J was cool, but it wasn't something that I chose as an artist. Your uniqueness is your name, and when I would hear Bryan, I would be like, oh, I know this person, but it'll be somebody that's a fan of the music, and I was like, and I would think about that even at that time. And I was like, I have to create something to where I understand now when somebody calls me Bryan, I know that's family. Somebody calls me JaXon, they're a fan of my art. They're a fan of how I think. They're a fan of what they see and what I show. They're a fan of my music, and that was the separation for me, because again, as an artist, people, for me, I wanted to create something that was solely for me, that I could do whatever I wanted. I think, given the name Bryan J, it already came with the nice guy, the small town, not trying to ruffle any feathers. And it's like, yeah, I'm from a small town, but I'm a Leo.
All right,
I'm like, you know what I mean? It's like, I'll turn up one moment and be like, man, and then the next moment, like, I was tripping. My bad. I'm sorry. Sometimes I be having my moments, and you may have struck a chord that I didn't like, and then I let you know, but it's so my
I
fault.
concur.
But
I
you know what I
understand. I
mean?
understand.
So,
I
and
get
I
it. I'm
had
a
to
Leo.
learn
Wait,
that it's
when's your
okay.
birthday?
August 2nd.
August 16th. Look at
I was about to
that.
say, I thought you was about to say August 2nd. I'll say, look,
It's still August. So we
you know
still
what I
there.
mean? So it's there, and I had to learn that it's okay to be exactly who you are in any and every room, and whoever doesn't like it, as long as you're being respectful, it's on
Mm-hmm.
them. Um, and the same with music. Like, I never force people to like my music. It's like, no, like, if you don't like it at the moment, it's just not for you, which is okay. But I know that the music will find its community, and that community will love everything that I do. And then, maybe later down the line, you'll fall in love with him. Like, oh, I was tripping. This
Mm-hmm.
music is amazing, and I'll be like, yeah, it is. But you can come back on the boat and kick it with us.
I love it. All right, be smooth with it. Now, the
Come
one
on.
thing that you said earlier in when you first started, now let's kind of get into like the discovery of you, right?
Hmm.
In a sense, you got discovered and you were in the room with Sean Hall. You were in Discovering by
Hmm.
Tricky Stewart.
Hmm.
Let's talk about because I mean, we gonna talk about the resume. We gonna talk about the
Right.
resume, okay?
Right.
Working with Erica Baidu, Justin
Hmm.
Bieber, being on, stages. I mean, getting mentored by the Dream. What do you remember about the moment when things really started to be like shift for you, and, and
Hmm.
and this was like, oh my God, I'm in a career. I have a career.
Yeah. Man, I think there were two moments that happened. The first moment was working with Sean Hall, because that's where it all started. Sean Hall and Chris Young, and Marquise, a friend of my brother Reggie, introduced me to Chris Hall, and Chris Young introduced me to Sean Hall, and that was where my career started. Um, and I remember that was the first time I was in like an official studio, and I was in it. Mind you, it's 6 o'clock in the morning. My voice don't work at 6 in the morning. I don't think anybody's voice does. And Sean was like, "Yo, pull up to the studio." I'm like, "Bet, all right." And I remember singing on like the microphone, and I was like, "Oh, this is what people hear," because I haven't heard myself. Like, I sing, sure, I hear myself, but it's like I'm hearing myself for like the first time. Like, oh, this is what people hear, and it's like, damn, I do sound good. And it felt like such a quick process because Sean and I worked for maybe 3 months, and then we had went shot with every label you could think of,
Mm,
and everybody offered a deal, and he was like, "Yo, I want you to meet my cousin before we like decide on what we're gonna do and who we're gonna go with as far as label." So I was like, "Sure, whatever." And we walk into the studio, and I just see all the plaques, and I'm just like, "Damn, like who I'm about to meet?" Because at this time, it's like the biggest producers, like everybody knows Timbaland, Pharrell, Polo, you know what I mean? And
yes,
I'm
yes.
just like, all right, who's this guy? And then I saw like on the production it said Tricky Stewart. I was like, what? So we walk in and we meet, we start talking, we play some music. He's like, yo, I want to sign you, but I just need a little time because I'm working with Beyonce right now. So it was like cool, whatever. And that was again another first moment for me from a studio to somebody who actually who knows what a star looks like and
Right.
is saying yes to me. I think that's what we look for in life is a yes. Like you go through a bunch of no's to just get your one yes. Now I got to my one yes. I was like, all right, perfect. And that happened. And then we started working with Tricky, and we had this record called "Let Me Take You Out." It started going crazy because they posted this record. It's supposed to have been private, but they posted it public. So a
Mm.
week into it, it's at like 1 million views, and we're like, "Wait, what the fuck is going on?" It was like, "No, the song is out." And we're like, "Well, how?" It was supposed to have been private. And it was like, "Well, we accidentally posted it." And so I think the LA Reid thing happened because of that, because that was the third fastest growing song in YouTube history at that time.
Oh,
And
wow.
right, and I'm like, all right, again, mind you, Hogansville. I'm like, well, this shit is happening. Like, it feels like this, but it's really like, you know what I mean? So we get a call. LA's like, yo, you guys come to New York. So we go to New York. It's me, Tamil, Quentin Miller, as you guys might know, and Lonnie Bro or Frank Ocean.
Yeah.
And I'm in this room, and again, it feels like the studio thing. It's like I'm walking and I'm seeing these plaques and I'm seeing all these faces, and I'm just like, man, I feel like I'm in the right place. And they play the music, and thank God I was last because they just seemed like they weren't excited about it. But I'm like, y'all called us, like, what you mean? Like, you should be watching, like. And I just remember saying to myself, when my music is played, they're either gonna kick me out or they're gonna love me. One of the two,
Mm.
and I was okay with both. And for me, uh, they loved me, and they didn't kick me out. And L.A. Reid told me
Clearly,
that he
clearly
wanted
they
to
didn't
sign me
kick
that
you out.
right, and then he said he wanted to sign me that day, and that was like my third moment of like, man, recording a song, meeting somebody who's a big figure in music, saying yes to me, and then going to one of the, if not the biggest black face in music,
Mm.
saying, "Yo, yes, I want to sign you." And for me, those are my three, as of now, my three biggest moments in music because I think all three of those moments created this. All of those moments created JaXon Gállery. Now that I'm thinking about it, because even the process of it all, I was still trying to figure out what Bryan J was, not who Bryan J was, but what it was like. How does he dress? What does he smell like? What does he sit like? How does he sit? And it's like I don't know, because I felt like in my mind as an artist, I wasn't supposed to be myself. But it's like, no, you are yourself. You get to
Wow.
choose in any and every moment that you have. You get to choose. You are always in the driver's seat outside of God, right? But it's like you're in the driver's seat to choose to say what you want, dress how you want, drink what you want, smell how you want, wear what you want, and being so confident in that to where people look at it as like, oh, that's his identity. That's how he dresses. It's like, yeah,
What I love about this, and I'm sure, and I want people to understand as well, like you previously said, that you had to grind,
for
you got
sure.
a lot of no's, and to be able to go from Sean Hall, Tricky Stewart, and L.A. Reid. right? To be able to be blessed in a sense to be like, oh, I see a star. Like,
Right.
here's the moment. Let's go. Let's work. Now, we already know, like, artists come, artists come, artists go, right?
Hmm.
What for you is one of the things that you would say helped you in a way to have longevity?
Oh man, Hogansville, believe it or not, um, Hogansville is such a resilient place, um, faith driven, and I've always known that this gift of mine uh, was God's blessing to me to give to the world, and I think me understanding that was or will always be the deciding factor for my for progression. And sure, I've had days and moments and months, throughout this entirety of my career of like, man, like, am I crazy?
Mm,
Right? Because for every great moment, there was at least 5 moments to where I was like, damn, but it was out of my hands, right? Like me signing my first deal at Def Jam, and 3 weeks of me being there, I was being negotiated out of my contract because Reid was going to another label, and I was with Reid, that was who signed me. So, imagine having this moment of feeling like finally it's happening, and you have the money that showed that something is happening, right? And 3 weeks later, you're being negotiated out, and that negotiation takes 2 years. So for 2 years, I got a record. I can't do anything because I'm being negotiated out of my contract. I don't have any money from the label side of it all to market and do a bunch of other things. I can't put out music, and it's like, you know, all of that hard work got me now just relaxing with sure money in my bank account, but I should be on the road. I should be touring. I should be excited, but I wasn't because I was being negotiated out of my deal, and that taking 2 years, and I think you know that happening, and then in that time, me almost losing my voice
mm,
completely, and I think that was the hardest time for me from not being able to put out music, but still recording, and then getting sick and still singing on my voice, and going to what they call ear throat something like I forget what they're called, but going there and they say, "Yo, had you kept singing for another week, possibly, you probably could have lost your natural voice, and we don't know what you would sound like." And I was like, "Here we go again," something else
wow.
happening, and me having to not talk for 30 days. I just
Mm,
had to write on a piece of paper, and I think, not I think, I know that was the toughest moment because it was like the one thing that I thought was a gift I couldn't use.
wow.
Um, and again, mentally, it was hard to deal with because I'm going through this thing where I'm leaving the label, and the one thing that I felt like I could always do without anyone, I can't do. And I think those types of moments um, gave me that one sense of hope, faith, and knowing that I was always one yes away from being exactly where I always dreamed of being.
Mm.
Yeah. That's crazy. I never really tell that story about me almost losing my voice because I hate to say it. I don't know what made me share it today,
You
but
should. That gave me
yeah,
chills because I think, that's a like the story to tell because look at the blessing on the other side of that. Like
right,
to be able to, you got this gift and you almost lost it, right?
man.
Almost lost it. And
Oh,
to be able to come back and to be able to establish yourself, right? And not only just for the voice, it was just like, all right, well, here goes the deal. I'm losing the
right.
deal. I think
Sure.
it's just because obviously the test is the testimony, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. 100%.
I want you to talk about being mentored by the Dream. Now, we already
Man,
know the Dream is amazing in its own. I'm a fan of his as well.
right,
I
everybody.
admire his ethics and how he, just from the outside looking in. I don't know him personally. One day
Right,
I might have to sit down with him, but
right. You will. You
to
will.
and I'll claim it.
Come
Um
on.
to be able to see his production in the production, his writing, and to be guided
Right,
under that light, right? I want you to kind of like just give us like what is one lesson, you may have many,
right.
from him that still sticks with you to this day.
Man, the one lesson that I felt that I took from that mentorship was the cheat code is always in the person. You just have to look. And I what I'm saying is his songwriting style changes for every artist that he
Mm,
works with, but it is the artist. Like, sure, it's his writing style, but the song sounds like the artist. Not the artist sounding like a song. No, the song sounds like the artist. And I think that was something that I saw. Like, I remember us having this one conversation and him being like, I write Rihanna better than anybody.
mm,
And I always thought it was so crazy that he said I write Rihanna better than anybody instead of saying I write songs better. And it's like, no, when you hear a Rihanna record, it sounds like Rihanna. It
mm.
feels like Rihanna. So, you have to do your due diligence to study artists. Like if somebody's asking you to write a
That part.
song, it's not that, well, some people don't write for themselves, right? But it's not that they can't write for themselves. They're saying, yo, I want you to take a piece of me and write something for me because I love the way you write. But write it for me, not to me, because there's a difference. When you're writing something for me, it's
Yep.
tailored, right? Like Beyonce wouldn't sing a Rihanna song, and Rihanna wouldn't sing a Mariah Carey song, right? They're three totally different voices and styles and attitudes, right? But being able to capture that in song format, that's genius. And I think he's one of the greatest to do that. And that
Yeah.
was what I learned outside of just the confidence and the little bit of arrogance. I mean, I think his arrogance, but
Yeah.
but again, it's like when you know exactly who you are in a room and you know the effect that you have in music, it's like why wouldn't you walk around knowing like, yo, I could change, I could change your life as a songwriter, right? I could change your life. I could change your trajectory on the charts, right? That comes with a certain, like I think the 10,000 hour thing he exceeded 100 times over,
Mm.
But again, being a student of just life, which is what I think he is, like he's so in tune to everything that's happening, everything that's around him, and it's just like he just turns it into song format, and it's relatable,
Yes.
and
From
it's culture,
That's
culture.
true. Very true.
Listen,
Very true. Because
that man
I
is
think
culture.
I love for the fact for as a millennial that
Hmm.
I can clearly tell the signature.
You hear
I'm
me?
like of this man.
That
Like,
man,
and
culture.
how he
Oh
impacted when we think about the early 2000s and we think about the mid 2000s, like, yo,
man,
this was our
culture,
era.
culture. That man was culture, and
Yes,
that's something that I
I
have to
agree.
also remember. Like, I'm sure I'm writing for other artists, but I'm writing for the culture. You know
Right.
what I mean? Because that's the thing that people love. Everybody loves black culture.
And
Love
that's
it
what
or
they're
hate
gonna
it,
remember. That's what they're gonna
man.
remember.
Black culture. So
Um,
yeah,
I I love everything about this conversation. I was gonna get some gems.
yeah, yeah. Come on,
I knew exactly before, and I'm excited because I definitely we're gonna talk about this new music.
come on. Got to get
Got
into that.
some stuff coming up. If I with you in the way that you matured. right?
Hmm.
And learning the things that you know, what would you say has been the most challenging part in the industry, right? Because obviously I don't
Hmm.
want to say, you know, just in you starting so young and then where you're at this point.
Hmm.
Like or maybe there wasn't a challenge.
Oh
Maybe
yeah.
this is something that has just been sweet for you, right?
Hell no.
Sunshine and lollipops, right?
Hell no. It's been
Okay.
thunderstorms. It's been tornadoes. It's been hail. It's been everything. But I think the music industry, once you get into it, the music industry is such a small place.
Mm,
And you have to understand that everybody has an agenda. And if you're not willing to fit into that agenda, um, the road is a bit tougher and longer, but it's worth it at the end of the day. I think now there's so many opportunities for independent artists to be incredible people and incredible artists and building their own fan base, which is something that I don't think the music industry can stop. But the music industry definitely has its yeah, it definitely has its roadblocks and challenges as far as even something as simple as getting in the room with people and with somebody knowing that you're capable of writing an incredible record for somebody and it could be something as simple as the person who brought a record from me to this artist and this artist head A&R doesn't like the guy who brought the record and that record not making the project, but it's like the record was incredible and this artist recorded it and
mm,
wanted to use it, but it's like nah, I don't really like the record because, but it's like no, you don't like the person who brought the record. You like the record, but you just don't like the person that brought the record. And it's like, yo, now you're messing up an opportunity for me because now I can say, yo, hey, the I wrote a single for this artist, and that helps me, which helps the team. So it's like, all right, now this artist, I want to say the name, but I won't. But now this artist can and
understood.
I can build and really work together.
Right.
And yeah, nah, I'm not. But it's just crazy
Don't
because
do
the
it
music
then.
industry is like that, and it
Right.
and it bothers me because it's like, yo, nigga, you black, I'm black, he's black. What's the issue?
Right. Let's just get
Like,
it.
man, but it's so crazy to think of it from that perspective because it's like, bro, and that's something that I feel that's super heavy in the music industry to where it's like us as black people sometimes don't want to support each other or
Mm,
we don't want to see somebody do great. It's like, bro, if I have an opportunity to help, that opportunity has nothing to do with my blessings, bro.
if more and more people understood.
And that was the craziest thing that I realized like early on, like, man, people trying to take huge percentages of songs that they didn't write or produce, um, just to grab at money. And it's like, bro, let's create the opportunities. Let's allow everybody to shine because my light has nothing to do with your light. Your light has nothing to do with my light. But if we can shine together, like that's a super vibrant, bigger light. Trick and Dream have done it. I think in their reign, they both had a light that the music industry said, "Oh my God, this is a beautiful light. Can we borrow this?" And it's like,
Mm,
"Yeah, you can borrow it." And I think that should be like a standard for all of us. Like, I'm nobody's enemy, and nobody is my enemy. That's the thing that I dislike about the music industry. Us as a culture, bro, it's almost like we feel like there's only room for one, and it's like there's so much room for all of us, for
right.
all of us. So why are we competing for this one space? There's 100 different blocks. Why is everybody trying to fit on this one block? There's 100
Mm.
others, but
It's just like the example that they give, like when you go into the grocery store and you walk down the bread aisle and there's so many different brands
Right.
of bread. But the correlation is there's different types of bread, right?
Right.
It's all bread.
It's more bread
It's more
than this
bread.
bread.
It's for you, but play on words, go get your bread. But
You know what I mean? I saw that. You're a songwriter.
right.
That's what I'm saying. Pin,
And I
pin me a
and I,
record.
I love that you said that because just to piggyback off of that as well, I love Ray Daniels. He's
Right.
always dropping
Incredible.
so much knowledge. And
Hmm.
he talked about in the sense of, when you be in the studio and you just was like, yo, everybody trying to fight over this percentage. And he was like, okay, there's pop splits. Like, let's work on this. Let's do this. Like, split it down the middle, certain things
Man,
like that. And he was like, everybody was trying to argue over, what they should be getting because they wrote this line or they wrote the chorus and things like that. And he was like, you don't understand. He was like, if we all gonna eat, like, just be smart about it, right? And I believe, and I get it, as in the industry, you're going to have to fall
right,
in order to learn. You're gonna trip up, you're gonna make mistakes. But I love what you said in the sense of trying to have unity in the sense of, especially for our people, because it's so difficult. Everything's not a competition. Let's just try to work together. Like if you good, bro, you good. Is this you good? All right, we good. We good together. I love, in the sense of that.
good,
So the one thing that I want to get into is this resume. I know we briefly
right.
touched on it, right?
Hmm.
So Charlie Wilson,
Come on, Uncle
Erica
Charlie.
Badu,
Come on,
and I love me some Charlie, okay?
come on now.
um, Justin Bieber,
Yeah,
you collaborated as well with Beanie Man. You have done projects with Young Thug, Tyga, Two Chains.
yeah.
With
Two.
all of these with all of these names, right? How do you keep yourself authentic and working in such different capacities of when it comes to style of artists,
Yeah,
and then to be able to hone in on your own true artistry?
yeah. Man, for me, I just understand that they're bringing me into a room because of who I am. So I'm just showing up as myself. Uh, because the music that they're hearing now is me. So I know when they like, or where they're liking or enjoying or loving the music and the style of music. What I'm hearing back is, I love how you think. I love how you sing. I love how you write. Can you bring that on this side? And it's like, of course, I'm just bringing you guys me. But I think of all of those people, the best was working with Charlie Wilson.
Mhm.
Oh gosh,
Talk about it.
man, it was so amazing being in a room uh, with a living legend of culture and hearing his story and his moments where I felt like he and I were having conversations that I don't know if he's ever had before. It felt like him explaining it made him nervous in certain moments, like him, talking to me about his addictions and um, man, how he just felt like he was never going to be himself again, and finding love right
Mhm.
again, and that love, you know, shifting his whole mental, spiritual, and emotional space to step into some bigger shoes. And I remember this particular song. It was called "Better" that I wrote, and man, we were just. This is probably the third song. Like the first two songs were gold, and this was the first day I met him, and I knew he had like a story to tell, but I just didn't know, what it was and if he would tell me. But I knew I was there to help express this story, and he was telling me this story about him, dealing with a certain addiction one day, and the lady he's married to right now would always seem to call his name or walk down the hall and check on him, and I was just like, man. And like he said it and just walked off. I didn't know what this meant. I didn't know if he was going to cry. I didn't know. Honestly, I just didn't know. And it was almost like the room, like the energy just shifted because we just did two upbeat songs, and
Mm-hmm.
it was super bright. And this is again thanks to Dream in that moment and JQ as well, teaching me, just songwriting structure. Man, I remember hearing this loop, and I was like, this room is way too bright for this moment. Like this room, these colors are happy. But this song that I feel that the universe is pushing through me, it's like it's a it's a happy song, yeah, but there's this element of like you helped me get to this space. And everybody just left the room. It was just me and the engineer. I was like, bro, I feel like something magical is about to happen. Just play the loop. I'm gonna just go in, turn off all the lights. I just wanna I just wanna see what comes. He's all right. He goes in there. I go in there. It's pitch black dark. I can't even see my hands in front of me because I didn't know what was gonna happen. I'm just like I might start crying because I just knew the instrumentation of this record. It felt very vulnerable. Like it felt like I could cry singing this song. I go in there and I just start singing. I didn't write a word. I'm just in there singing my little heart out. And I'm like getting all emotional. And I'm like, man, like, why do I feel like I'm telling my story? And I could have been. It could have been a moment to where all the women that I had that broke my heart from elementary to middle school, I'm finally letting it all out. And this moment is happening. And man, I go and I just stopped recording. I did like the first verse, the hook, and I had just stopped. I was like, 1 second, and there was like a talk button that he was talking to me on, and I could hear him. So he's like, "You okay?" I was like, "Yeah," and I just started sniffing, and I didn't know anybody was in there. So I walk in the room. Everybody's in there with their girlfriends or wives, holding hands and hugging and shit. I'm just like, bro, this is weird.
Yeah.
And Charlie was like, man, I want to record this song right now. And I don't want anybody to hear me singing this song. Man, he goes in and record this song, and I have on headphones, and it's just he and I recording. Well, he's recording, and I'm listening, and nobody can hear it. It's just he and I in this moment, and hearing him go through all of these emotions,
Mm.
it was crazy. It's making me a little emotional just because at that time I didn't want to be in LA. I was missing home. Um,
Okay.
but I knew that I was there for a reason. And that same night, he ended up talking to my parents, and it was one of the coolest moments ever because these are my parents. Like that's their superhero in that era of, outstanding and all those other songs. And it's crazy.
Right.
My nephew loves one of their songs. It starts with like this bike sound, um, but man, that was like the first moment that I felt like I'm supposed to be here doing this.
Mm.
Um, Even though at that moment I felt like I was at my lowest, I went in and wrote some of the most incredible records that um, weren't reflective of my current mental space, but was reflective of my future anticipations of love, peace, joy, and happiness. And I was like, man, like, thank you. You know what I mean? For allowing me, because I booked a flight home for that day, but something was like, stay another day. And then the producer that I was working with at that time, um, was like, yo, I want you to meet somebody. And it was Charlie Wilson. And that day was by far the best moment I've had in music, for sure,
Mm.
up until today, for sure.
That gave me like chills. It gave me chills. And Like I can really literally see like the hairs standing up
For
on my arms right here. Um, you said that you wrote and created some of the most amazing music in the time when you was just at your own low.
sure, for
That's
sure.
that's wow.
Right, I
Let's talk
know.
about the I know it's like how do I move on? Oh, but we do. Um, your upcoming project.
Man,
So you
in the
do
key
have
of
an
us.
upcoming album
Yes.
in the key of us. Um, I got to listen to a few of the tracks,
Hmm.
which were so amazing. And the one thing that I love about this is that how it's so centered around love,
Yeah,
the realities of, today's relationships.
for sure.
Because dating, I heard, I hear it's kind of crazy out here in the dating pool.
Yeah, that's for sure. For
You
sure.
know, for you to create this, right? This project, what were you thinking and what should I say, what conversations about love did you feel were missing in R&B that you wanted to explore on this project?
Um, Man, what I felt was missing was the possibilities of love to still exist. I think sometimes you can be in a relationship with somebody and early on you have this idea or these possibilities of what it could be. And then we get to a place where it's like we feel like we know the person and we know what they like, don't like, and love. And it's like the possibilities turn into just this cycle of um, like the thrill just leaves,
Mhm.
and the excitement leaves. The possibilities all seem finished, completed. You feel depleted, and I just wanted to tackle the idea of love is still possible. The possibilities are still limitless. We now just have a different scope of potential. I think now it's like you can go on social media and find somebody in Dubai and you're like, oh, this person loves me. And it's like, but
Mm.
they're not even, you know what I mean? And I think sometimes we always look at, well, we can sometimes look at people and things as like, well, I can get another you. And it's like, no, at least for me, you could never find another me. So you could search the world. It's only one me, right? And I think when people get to a place in space of understanding that every day isn't a perfect day, um, every attitude isn't always the right attitude, but it's like that's part of learning people. Like that's part of life. Like I'm not always my happiest, um, and I can't expect somebody to always be at their happiest. But it's like you have to learn to adjust, right, and allow yourself to be yourself around people honestly
Right.
and allow people to love you. I think a lot of times people are afraid to let people love them. I think that's the most challenging part of it all. It's like be who you are, and the right person will love you. You don't have to fake this idea of who you think you should be in order for people to love you, because then it's like you're constantly chasing your tail, and it's like people should want to fall in love with who you are, not who they think you could be. So that's what I
Wow.
wanted to tackle on this project in the key of us. It's from the influence of the Stevie Wonder, but I just really wanted to create a body of work that felt cultured, felt honest with my story, that felt real with what I feel and felt throughout my relationships. And it was like a chapter. Like I'm learning to understand now that every project isn't a book, it's a chapter, and at the end of my music career and life, that's the book. So right now I'm writing chapters. So this chapter felt like in the key of us because it's the one thing that I want, um, that I'm being honest about. And you could listen to this project and go, okay, this is what he loves, this is what he doesn't like. Um, this is what he's
Mhm.
into. Uh, can I be that for him? That's it.
Love it. And the one thing I love that you said about this is that, the inspiration, Stevie Wonder. Now we
Mm-hmm.
love some Stevie.
Come on.
And of course, there's other influences as well. I know that you've previously have talked about Prince, Luther
For sure.
Vandross, Al Green. Ah,
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
right. Um, in those influences of when you were creating this project, obviously these are records like I would say like I grew up on
Right.
and Saturday morning cleaning type
You know what
style
I mean?
music, right?
Yeah. No, for sure.
But the sensuality of these songs is that the love factor and it expressed how to love,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
Talk about the way that you were trying to reinterpret that era into as for the today's listener.
Yeah. Um, I think music is this ever evolving sound, but there's always these small, subtle hints of influence. And honestly, my goal really was to create music that kids discover 40 years from now and be like, man, this this what you guys you should listen to, or this is what y'all listen to, or like that was a goal for me because I think when I was growing up and listening to the Al Greens, and I'm like, damn, like my parents grew up listening to this type of music, and it's like we could be washing cars or cleaning up, and it wasn't just background music. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
We're dancing, we're having a good time, we're joking around.
Mm,
It's like it created a moment for um, kids to kick it with their parents or their siblings, or being around family and creating family environmental moments. Um, that's what I wanted. I wanted to create music that people could listen to while they were washing their car, cleaning up, or just around the house cooking and just start dancing. Like that's what I wanted to create because I know what that feels like. I've been at barbecues growing up and seeing drunk uncles and loud aunties and the uncle that's at the grill
Got the Franklin
talking
Beverly
all
name.
loud. You know what I mean? And but everybody are on one accord when this song is playing.
Right.
And I just wanted to reinvent that feeling, but with my interpretation of my influences. I think I did a pretty good job at it.
Very good, might I
Thank you.
add. Okay.
Thank you.
Um the the one thing what I love about when I speak to multi hyphenate artists
Hmm.
in the sense of vulnerability,
Yeah.
you touch a lot of that, from sides of the relationships and then from you as a writer,
Hmm.
um in speaking about the love today, how can I put this? Did you find yourself, challenging any expectations about how men are supposed to express their emotion?
Uh, I feel like I challenged a lot of it. I think the idea that men are supposed to be these walls and unexpressive. Um, what's the word that people use? Nonchalant people. It's like no, like I'll say exactly what I feel
Mhm.
and won't apologize for it. Uh, like shadows, that which is what the project starts with. That's it's a very vulnerable record to where I'm admitting me not stepping up in a way that I should have in our relationship because I knew what was needed,
Mhm.
but I chose not to do it because I was just being prideful, and that was part of the reason why it didn't work. And now I'm left with this idea of you in my house at night. I'm missing this energy that only a feminine energy could feel, and now it's not here, and now I'm just chasing this shadow throughout
Mhm.
the night. You know what I mean? And admitting that part of it, I think it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, we ain't supposed to say that. We supposed to just be like, all right, bro, that's whatever. I'll find another girl. But it's like, yeah, sure, I will find plenty women, right? But I don't want to jump over the fact that there was something that I learned, and moving forward, here's a note for me to remember of the shit not to do. So if I
Mm.
ever need to go back to the rule book of what not to do, shadows will be that, you know. But I also can go back to my rule book of miracle water, which is me doing everything I need to do and me receiving everything I wanted to receive based on me giving everything that was asked of me.
Oh man. And the one thing that I will say about this, in regards to this project, right?
Yeah.
It definitely leaves me it definitely leaves me in that position where just exactly just to really think about, a lot of, those relationships, even for me as a woman, like, you
Hmm.
think about like the things, well, did I say that right?
Right.
Did I do that right? Like,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
could I've done that a little better, in a sense of
It's
it.
normal.
What do you hope, not just couples, but just anyone who is in the position to be
Hmm.
ready for
Right.
a relationship, whether if it's just a friendship, whether if it's a loving relationship, or natural, like what do you hope anyone would be able to take away from this album, even if they're still trying to figure love out?
Hmm. As we all are. Uh, it's possible,
Mm,
and love is a necessity. I think people use it as an optional, but
mm,
we we're all small examples of the love we didn't get. That's how powerful love is, and I think um, what I want people to receive from this project is the idea of love that you want is a perfect love for somebody that wants to give it to you, and you don't have to change like your standard of what you want. I think the movies you love, somebody loves as well. The things you like to eat or the things you like to cook, somebody loves to eat. The places you like to go see, somebody loves to drive or loves to fly as well. So there's always this connection. I think that's the one thing throughout this whole project. The foundation of it is connection,
yes.
and knowing that I had a connection, um, and I let go was something that I'm like, can I live with that? Knowing that the connection that I wanted was there, but I let go. And was it a fear?
Mm,
Was it um, me thinking too deeply on the expectation of what was on my shoulders? But that same expectations was on her shoulders as well. Like there's a there's a synergy that happens when people genuinely love one another, and I think I spoke on that connection in this project. So that's something that I want people to fall into. That love can be exactly what you want it to be. You just have to be open enough to give it. And I think that small part of giving it is what sometimes scares us all because it's like, well, I don't want to get my heart broken, and I don't want to give 100% and get my heart broken, and now I have to give 100% again. And it's like, yeah, no, you can, but are you okay with giving yourself fully to somebody and that person giving themselves fully to you and it not working out? Or would you just rather not ever do it and just keep bouncing? And it's like, no, I want us as a community to start creating and finding the love that we want. And if
mhm.
it's not with the person you're with, to not be disrespectful. You know what I mean? To just move
Right.
on and find something different. And we live in this era where people are constantly like going to social media to talk about things. And I think that's another thing that makes love more difficult. It's like Facebook knows about our relationship more than I do.
Oof.
But you lay next to me every night. Well,
Right.
if we're together every other night, and it's like, why don't we have these conversations? So this is like a conversational key in the key of us is a conversational piece of like, yo, we're creating something specifically for us that we only speak. Us is me and you. This key is something that we're creating. What are we creating? That has nothing to do with anybody or anything outside of us. You know?
Before I move on and we get ready to close, first of all, thank you.
For sure.
I enjoyed every single bit of this conversation.
Thank you. Same.
Um, do you ever feel like, and even with this album, and do we, and I know the album was supposed to come out in February. Do we have a
Mm-hmm.
new date?
March. We're coming in this month, which is crazy. I'm actually getting the artwork done for the first single, "Got,"
Yes.
which is closer. You know what I mean? When you see that, when you see them cheeks, um, yeah. But the project will definitely be out this month. I was really thinking about doing like a single every Monday and Thursday uh, for the next 2 weeks. Then the project at the end of the month. So
Okay,
yeah,
come on through,
March.
PJ Clannon.
You know what I mean? Listen, so March, that's the final date or month for it all.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I do want to kind of go back a little bit and ask when do you, because the one thing you know you said about yourself, you're not afraid to say what it is that you need to say.
Mm-hmm.
And with this album, or maybe with any other song that you possibly could have created,
Mm-hmm.
did you ever feel like it's too much? Am I saying too much?
Yes. Honestly, when I sit back and listen to all the songs, I think that, and that's when I know I'm really being honest. When I'm like, all right, maybe I should change this verse, or maybe I should keep this song for myself and not ever release it. But I think people want to relate to you. People want to know what you feel. People want to know what you know. And as an artist, singer specifically, songwriter, why would I not be honest? Like this is therapeutic. Like even us
Right,
talking right now and us having a Charlie Wilson moment. Like who knows? Clearly, I was holding on to that for 6 years. You know what I mean? And this was a space to where, I'm home in my hometown. I'm in a space where, you know, my brother has, his future shepherd stuff here, and I'm just thinking of there's so many moments in this room to where it's all family, and I'm like, man, I could have been anywhere doing this interview, but I'm in a place with a smile I know behind me, with a dream here, the two things that I've done, and it's like, oh, if you can't deal with it in the moment and let it go, clearly there's a blockage there, and it's like, no, I
right.
don't want to, have any blockages in my space. Like if
Mhm.
I feel vulnerable about something, then sure, I'm not gonna boo hoo about it. I'm gonna do my best to try to, but still, it's like I'm human at the end of the day. Like I love love, I hate. I just want to always, if I can't be honest anywhere, I have to give myself the grace to be honest in music because people are listening, and it's my job to send a musical hug to somebody that needs it. You know what I mean? You sent me my hug today with your questions. You know what I mean? So for me, that moment was a hug, and I was like, yo, I actually needed that because I haven't thought about that moment since I've been back in my hometown, and I'm just like, man, I literally held something that was in California for 6 years, and now I'm here home, and it just hit me like, man, that was one of the most beautifulest moments of songwriting, but one of the most lowest moments in my life as a human being of like
Mhm.
this thing that I want, which is music. I felt in that moment it didn't want me back. You know what I mean? And it was difficult, but you know, having a level space to talk with Charlie Wilson and him telling me his story, and and me thinking about his story, and him recording that particular song called Better, and him being emotional in there, and him depending on, and thinking about it, him depending on me to get him through a moment, and him not knowing I was at my lowest moment. You know what I mean? I was being called to lead in a moment where I felt I didn't even know how to lead myself.
Mm.
But the song coming out exactly how it should, to where everybody in the room felt something. And I was like, man, it's that's where music lives and exists, in those moments. Even this conversation, us talking about that, in the moment that happened when I got emotional, like, that's where life happens. You know what I mean? Like, now
Right.
now that's off of my chest, spirit, and mind. I'm like, all right, I went through that. I made it through that. And this
Right.
interview reminded me that. And I'm like, yeah, I'm stronger than I thought I was back then. I know that now, but that was just a piece of energy that I had to let out. Now I'm
Mm.
back here. You know what I mean?
Let's kind of like, I love that because if you had to be face to face to the younger version of you,
This
right?
is insane. And I'm gonna tell you why, but go ahead.
And what would that conversation sound like today? Like Jackson to younger Jackson.
Like my younger, like 8-year-old self.
Listen, whatever version you feel like you need to speak to the most from the adult version of you.
Okay, so this is crazy because I had a dream 2 nights ago that I was talking to a version of myself that looked just like me, but he was wearing everything that I want and was driving everything that I have in my phone. And it was the most interesting moment because nothing about him, or nothing about me, changed. Like, I was still smiling, I was still joking, my energy was vibrant. Um, I was welcoming. So the younger, what my younger version would say to me, or what my now self would say to my younger version,
What
which,
your now self would say to your younger version.
man, what my now self would tell my younger version is, bro, you are right where you're supposed to be, doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing. Keep believing in the idea that you see in your mind that no one else will ever understand. And it's not up to them to understand, it's for you to bring it into reality for people to experience. Every nudge you get, act on it, and then it'll just disappear. Because my younger self didn't act on any nudges. I was asking everybody for reassurance. I was asking everyone for the location of my dream. And it's like,
Mm,
no, everything that you're looking for outside of yourself, you already have. You just aren't watering that plant.
mm,
God has given you something that nobody else can do, that nobody else is supposed to do. Only you. Do the proper work on yourself to do it. That's what I would tell my younger self. Because I wasn't
mm,
this mature when I was out in LA mentally. It was like,
mhm.
I didn't know who I was. I didn't know anything other than I want to do music. And it's like, no, that's not a clear plan. Like, what's your goal? What's your intention? Why do you want to do music? Why are you writing these songs? Who are these songs for? What's the colors of these songs? What's the imagery of these songs? What's the energy behind the instrumentation that goes with your voice that will make people feel something that deeply into it, to where it's like, all right, now I can go in the studio and somebody can play me 100 beats and I can be like, no, to all 100, because I know the music that I'm making.
Yeah, love it. And before we get out of here, so I got two more questions, right?
Listen, we here.
what's the one thing that you're still, as you continue your journey, what's the one thing that you feel like you're still learning of yourself?
The one thing that I'm still learning from me or within myself, I'm still learning that I have to be patient and give myself grace.
Mm,
Sometimes I can be a little hard on myself because I'm like, man, I feel like I should be here with songwriting and production and the career part. And it's like all I'm doing right now is I'm in the gym shooting my shots. And there's going to come a time where a team is going to pick me up and they're going to depend on me when we're
mm,
down one with 3 seconds left on the clock. And there's going to be a shot that I'm going to have to take that I've taken 10,000 times. And I'm going to make that shot. And I will be able to bring other teammates along on this team. That's what I'm learning because sometimes I'm very hard on myself with where I want to go and I don't know how I'm going to get there. And sometimes the how doesn't matter. It's the why because the why can take me to my how. And that's something that I learn and I deal with every day. And I'm reading this book called The Game of Life and How to Play It. And it just speaks on self confidence uh, and being sure of exactly what you want and expecting that thing that you want and not accepting anything less. So if I want $10 today, I'm expecting $10 a day and not $9.99. And I know
mm.
that's like, well, it's only a penny off, but I asked for 10. You know what I mean? And it's that sometimes for me. So that's what I'm working on, just being a bit more graceful with myself.
All right. I love that. Now, I'm gonna ask you the most toughest question in the world.
Come on.
I'm pulling up to the barbecue, okay, in Hogansville.
Come on, listen. It's about
Listen,
that
I'm pulling up
time.
to the barbecue. All right. Tell me right now, what three classic R&B songs is guaranteed to be playing at your cookout?
Um, I'm DJing or it's the family.
You know what?
Because if I'm DJing,
It doesn't even matter. Who,
listen,
what three
look,
classic? What's
I
ones
got
we
the
know we
ox.
got to play?
Listen, I got the ox. We gonna hear oh, we for sure we gonna hear we're gonna hear Al Green Love and Happiness for sure. Um
Okay, okay.
we gonna hear Luther Never Too Much. Mm, for sure, gotta throw that Tupac on there.
Mm.
Uh Round and Round. We're gonna go Tupac Round and Round. For sure. Cause you know what I mean? I gotta
Very summary. Okay,
you know what I
love
mean?
it. We got
It's
some
we
love. We
talking
got a
about
little
cookout.
bit. Listen,
We
you can't forget about Frankie.
but I can't forget Frankie, but it's like my family, like they love Al Green. Like I remember Frankie, and I mean that's a classic for sure. But here it's like I always heard the Al Greens, the Anita Bakers, the Luthers,
Mm.
the Stevie Wonder. Um, I mean they'll play Frankie, but you know what's crazy? You would hear a lot more Gap Band and
Oh,
um,
listen. Now
Rick
that's
James.
good. That's it.
You know what I mean? Like
Yep. You
because I
dropped the
grew up in
bomb
a lot
on
where
me.
you hear me.
Hey.
Man, them folk be in there turned up, drinking a little Cool Light and
I heard
Coronas and
that.
Hennessy and Crown Royal. Hey, them
All
folk turn.
right, cool. We got it. We having fun at this barbecue.
Listen,
Okay.
I'm telling
Listen,
you.
I just want to say thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
sitting with us, Genius RS, having this conversation. That's the one thing about our platform is being able to shine light on amazing artists and
Thank you.
creatives who is making moves, who's doing their thing and being iconic. That's just exactly what you are.
Thank you so
First of
much.
all, Tell them again, upcoming album, when is it dropping? And let the people know where they can find you.
So the project, first and foremost, thank you so much for your
Of
time, your
course.
amazing questions, and allowing me a space on your platform. So thank you so much. Um, project dropping this month, which is March. You can find me on my social media, JaXon_Gállery. That's JaXon _Gallery, GALL, the number 3RY. That's on all social platforms.
I love it. Jackson,
Thank you.
I have to say once again, this has been amazing. I'm
Mm,
looking forward to the project. We're gonna put it on
Thank you.
our new music, our release.
Thank you. Thank you
Okay,
so much.
we got we support, we family. That's what we
Thank you
is
so
now.
much.
You're
I
part of the
appreciate you.
Genius family. And we do appreciate you for dropping your gems. And guys, listen, it takes so much to be an artist. So
Yeah.
please make sure that you are supporting. Please just don't stream it. Make sure you
Right.
go purchase it, because I know I don't run my credit card up. Okay. And I'm gonna run it up some more, making sure I'm getting music. And it's all for the love of music. So please, let's
Beautiful.
make sure that we are supporting our artists and backing them, because it takes so much just to be in this industry.
For
All
sure.
right. So let's run it up. I'm your host, Aisha Lewis Redway, and I was here with the amazing JaXon Gállery. Okay.
Thank you.
So, guys, until next time, you already know where I be. All right. Peace.